How much money do you think you'll need to retire? A new CIBC survey says the Canadian average falls at $756,000. But this is a big but, 90% of people surveyed have no plan for how to get there. The numbers are even worse for women. Just 22% of women have a plan to stash away enough for what they think they need for retirement. Let's bring in CIBC's Jamie Gollenbeck to discuss these findings. He's the Managing Director of Tax and Estate Planning at CIBC Financial. 756,000 sounds like a good number. Is that where people kind of should be?
Well, who knows? That's the point of the whole survey. So that's an average number.
Right.
We surveyed people that we add up everyone's number, divide by the number of people, we get 756. But who knows? Is that the right number? And that's really the point of the whole survey. People need to do an individual plan and to figure out what is their retirement going to look like? How much do they want to spend in retirement? What type of lifestyle they want? And then they can work backwards and find out how much they need to save.
There?
Absolutely.
And that's just it. I mean, if 90% of them have no plan to get there, 756,000 might as well be $10 trillion because you're not going to get there if you have no plan unless you find bags of money in the park every afternoon.
And that's absolutely correct. So that's why we're encouraging Canadians to go out there and speak to a professional, speak to a financial advisor, and get a plan and figure out how much you need to set aside every time you get paid, how much you need to save on a regular basis, what type of risk you need to take, and then figure out what is your magic number in terms of what you need for your retirement lifestyle.
The women's side of it was really shocking to me. At far greater numbers don't have a plan. Did you get it all into why that is, or get some sense as to why?
Yeah, it's hard to know for sure because after all, we know women working more, but maybe again the incomes are not level really yet with what men are earning. That could be a factor, but a lot of them are relying on friends and family for advice. We found that, and that's much more than men are. And I think that people need to get a plan, and certainly women need to get financial advice from professionals.
And I mean, it's one thing to come up with a plan. I think a lot of people struggle with just paying the bills, and they've got, they're carrying over a credit card. What is the first step? If somebody comes in and says, okay, I want to get my number, but I got to get my house in order first, what's the first thing they need to do?
Well, the first thing we ask people to do is set a budget. So we want to see how much is coming in. Write it all down. We want to see how much is being spent. We usually say look at a 3-month period, because in that period of time, you'll know exactly sort of the expenses that only come up every other month or certain utility bills, et cetera. Then we examine to see are there opportunities to maybe save a bit more, cut down on some expenses, do some budgeting, and then do some planning for future goals. So it's only when you have the idea of what your regular monthly income is and your expenses are, can we sort of set targets. And then what we do is we sort of set it and forget it. In other words, we will essentially set up an automatic saving and investment program. It could be as little as $25 a paycheck, but literally it's just something that's coming automatically off your regular pay.
Don't even see it.
Don't even see it. You don't spend it, and it goes right into maybe an RSP or a TFSA or even pay down debt.
How big is this problem? Because, you see all these studies and all these stories that people don't have any money put aside. People have, I think, on average, $180,000 across the country. We are not ready for an entire big boom of a demographic to hit retirement age.
Right, and I think that's the message. The message is that everyone's situation is different. On a whole, we are not ready. That being said, there are things that we can do to get ready. And that's the message, is to get out there, meet with an advisor, look at your personal situation. Are there opportunities to save? How much do I need to save? And how am I going to get there?
But this has trickle-down effects into the entire economy, that if you're a millennial looking at this and saying, well, I'm not going to retire for 50 years, I don't care. You do care, because if they hit retirement age and sort of like elderly age, where they're going into homes and such, that they don't have the money to pay for it, it affects the entire economy, the entire society.
Oh, that's right. And again, especially for millennials, this is the best opportunity ever.
Get in
You're
early.
young, get in that habit. If you can get in that habit right now of budgeting, saving, and even setting aside even like ideally maybe up to 10% of your paycheck, you'll be fine. But I think that's the message we're trying to get across.
Jamie, thanks for this. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Jamie Gollenbeck is the Managing Director of Tax and Estate Planning at CIBC Financial Planning and Advice.